everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
And today we're covering one of my all-time favorite Disney movies, Treasure Planet!
This animated movie reimagines the classic Treasure Island novel into a sci-fi adventure in space, where Jim Hawkins discovers the fabled treasure planet may be real, and he goes on a journey to find it with a crew of treasure hunters to find it.
Yes.
And he looks like Levi Ackerman.
It's hilarious. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click occasionally some future podcasts and we'll pause videos.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for this wonderful movie suggestion for the closeout of Paws for 2024.
Yes.
I'd never seen this movie. Somehow you've seen it and I didn't. And there could be many reasons. I was at work, I was out, you were with friends. Just so many reasons why, but I'd never seen it. And now I finally have.
Yes.
And I like it.
Yes. And it's funny enough that the movie turned 20 years old last year. Well, now it's 21 this year. And it'll be 22 next year. Oh my gosh. It just keeps adding up. And this is one of those Disney films that is almost never talked about enough. Not saying there aren't enough videos, but there's so many out there, and yet you still feel like you haven't said enough about the movie.
Now what's interesting is this is actually a second movie of Treasure Planet. There was an original one that was done in 1982 by a Bulgarian company of the same name. It was also an animated sci-fi film. It was released 20 years before this movie.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So it's interesting that someone else already had this idea. I
Yeah,
don't
it
know
happens.
if Disney got the rights for it, or I don't know what happened.
Me
But
either.
it can't be that much of a coincidence that it's an animated sci-fi film based on Treasure Planet Treasure Island by the same name.
You're right.
So if you guys know the truth behind that, let us know in the comments.
Right. And like I said, it's one of those movies that's always talked about. It's usually in a lot of people's top 10 or top 20 list of favorite Disney films. And I think one huge part of it is that it was something so different at the time it came out. The closest you had similar was Star Wars.
That we know.
And you could tell there was influence from Star Wars in it, but they didn't just go and copy paste things from there and make their own movie and pretend it's theirs. That'll be later when they bought Star Wars. But here, they really took the time to make all these creatures and characters look different from each other. They weren't just something you would see in some other movie or show, whether it be Disney or not. Everything about this movie, and the look and the feel and the atmosphere and the character designs and everything, made it feel so different. And the movie's so good, you know it's an adaptation of something that already exists. And it has something similar already done. But this was so well done that it stands on its own. You don't even really see it as an adaptation or loosely based. It feels like it's its own movie.
Yes. I think it's so interesting, though, finding out that another country had done this exact movie
And it happened
20 years
yeah.
prior.
Right.
And there's no way that Disney didn't know it because they're Disney. So I wonder how much of that film had an impact on this one. And unless you get to see the other one, you'll never know. Now, that being said, yes, I agree. It's beautiful to look at.
Yes.
And I really like the main character right off the bat. You get to see him as a little boy and someone narrating the book as he sits with his mom before bedtime. And then after all those stories that made an impression on him, he wants to really find the treasure.
Right.
And you can see he's kind of designed like a swashbuckler.
Right.
Or a developing swashbuckler.
Yeah, like he should be a pirate, but he doesn't become a pirate.
Right. And as you said, he's a bad boy. He's got the earring.
And the only one Disney ever made.
And it was so funny because I had no idea when I saw him. I said, he looks like Levi Ackerman. You said, that's what so many people say.
Yes.
And then learning that this movie came out years before Attack on Titan, there's no way in heck Isayama was not inspired by this movie and Jim to create Levi Ackerman.
Right.
There's no way. So that being said, it's fun at the same time. It's adventurous and taking a different approach to Treasure Island, which I've read. But I really like the finished product. Now, I learned that the movie, unfortunately, was a box office failure. It
Yes.
took $140 million to make, but it only earned $109 at the box office.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and a lot of people believe, I don't know if it was ever confirmed or more people found out, that Disney may have sabotaged the movie, and this was decades ago. They really did not want to do 2D animated movies anymore because they thought they were going to be... they thought they were going to be more like a thing of the past. They did a little mix of 2D and 3D in here, which worked very well. People thought, okay, we're going to mix it in. No, they wanted to stop using 2D and use 3D because it was cheaper, it was easier, it would take less time to make, and they really wanted to get a jump start on 3D, especially after Toy Story did such a great job at being ahead of its time at the box office in animation. They thought, okay, we need to jump on 3D. Let's just throw away the hand-drawn stuff altogether.
And by Pixar.
Yeah, let's just throw all this away. Let's just go head first into 3D and just do nothing with 3D. It's so much easier. And since then, people have been kind of bitter with Disney when it came to that because it had such a great film. Even though it didn't make a lot of money, it still was having potential because at one point they were writing and making the second movie. I don't know how that would have turned out, but they already had developed a storyline. They started doing storyboards. They started working on it. And then one of the new people in charge ended up canceling that and other projects they were making sequels to. Like they were going to make a sequel to Meet the Robinsons and some of the other movies that originally weren't just standalone films. And it was meant to expand more on the story and Jim's character after the events of the film and making a new story to go along with it. Now, given their past with the sequels, at least it wasn't direct to DVD. If it wasn't, it probably would have had a chance of being pretty good.
Now, I can see how this movie has influenced a lot of other movies and artists. One thing I really kept thinking of when I watched this was the book series Voyagers. It's a teen book series. If you guys have read it, let us know in the comments. And in one of the books, they go to this planet where there's a pirate planet and the ships are in the sky sailing. And as soon as I saw that happen, I said, Voyagers.
Yeah.
That's where that book came from.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with it, it's again a teen series. And there's 7 books, and each book, or each volume I should say, is written by a different author.
Right.
So in the one that this was written, they had pirates in the sky, and I thought it was so unique at that time. And now I know it wasn't, because it was inspired by this movie, obviously.
Right. Space pirates, sky pirates, all the types of pirates started with here, and now they've run into the ground.
So quickly we'll go over the voice cast. You had Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Brian Murray, Emma Thompson, David Hyde Pierce, who was unmistakable, Martin Short, Lloyd Metcalf, Roscoe Lee Brown, Patrick McGowan, and Michael Wincott. I was so shocked to see Patrick McGowan because our Nana used to love him. She watched a series in the 60s called The Prisoner, and it was another one called, I think Secret Agent Man was the name of it, or that was the name of the song.
Okay.
But she used to love that. And so to see that he was in this movie, I was really surprised doing voice acting.
Right. And I think another big reason this movie is still well loved decades later is I think the world they built for this. And not knowing they could have done a sequel and unfortunately never got to see the light of day, that they put a lot of care and effort and time into this movie. It still was loosely based on something that already exists, but it was so good, it felt like it was its own thing inspired by more of Treasure Island. And I really love that they didn't just go and take from somewhere else and apply that to this and just copy paste different ideas and see if that makes a movie. They really worked with their own ideas and concepts and how space worked, how the aliens looked, how would they incorporate Treasure Island into a planet. Would it just be made of gold? Would it have mechanisms in it? How it have zero gravity and everything? They really translated well of a book that was set in a time period where there was little to no conveniences long before technology and everything, and still able to bring that into space and still keep it in there when there's technology as far as the eye can see, and still make it where it's still not as bad as you think it is. It was just really, really brilliant. It was just, and not even something on Earth, because they don't really have an Earth in this version. They're just on other planets, but it still felt like you were still seeing something really familiar. It wasn't just so trope or generic that you didn't care you've seen it before, and it wasn't so far out there where it was too confusing to take a grasp on.
I did like the music as well. I thought the music was really good.
Yes.
I found myself, tapping my toes or really bobbing my head to some of it.
Yes.
Because it really drew you into the movie itself.
Yes.
And it was really well done.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of the biggest things about, especially the ones called I'm Still Here. That's pretty much the main theme of the movie, and people use that like to pick the one song that stands out the most is that one. And like you said, and it's not even a musical. It's not a musical movie. There are no sea shanties or I Want songs or anything in there. There was no range of songs. It just had its own theme. It had its own feel. All the songs were completely for background or to move the story along, and it was a singer singing it and not the characters. And I think that was something really different for their time too, where they were making a movie without any musical numbers in there and breaking up the story. It was just telling the story, keeping the sci-fi theme, and just having a really good soundtrack to keep it going.
Definitely. And I can definitely see why this is a favorite and why it's beloved. And I don't understand why Disney canceled the franchise, because I don't remember the promotion and things at that time. But I'm going to venture to guess that they didn't promote it or market it correctly or enough. And you said they possibly didn't even want to succeed, which confuses me. Why make a movie you don't want to succeed? It would have been better if they would have thought that way direct TV and let people love it.
Right, and then they just make the sales from that all together. Yeah, I think that would have been a better option too. And you could also see with a lot of the ideas they have for these characters, they were still reminiscent of past Disney films. And it wasn't a fairy tale movie. It wasn't a it was technically fantasy. It was sci-fi fantasy, but it wasn't medieval fantasy. It wasn't modern day. It was something so different for the time it was made. And they've had characters where they could be layered, and they were still working to what they were in the original book. Like I said, Jim was like the first and only Disney bad boy they had. He was hilarious.
He was Levi Ackerman 1.0.
Right,
Seriously, it's
right.
Like, that's all you
miss it
think
was kicking
when you're
people.
looking. He even had the same hairstyle with the undercut.
Yes.
There is no coincidence.
Yes, right.
And he's short.
Right.
And he's got that brooding manner about him.
Oh my God.
Levi doesn't have an earring. That's the only thing that's different. But it's just Levi Ackerman. Ishiyama saw this movie and he designed Levi Ackerman. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
That's hilarious.
He got the same slight build, the same charisma. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
And with John Silver, depending on how you feel about the book, one thing I didn't hear that's actually a really interesting idea, like they did with Captain Underpants, like decades later. I know different studio, but same example, is that he's a villain, but he wasn't like a villain, a cold-hearted villain. And I think that's what Disney is missing now. They want to make villains that aren't completely evil, and now they just can't be evil, period, unless they force it in. Is that, yeah, he still was after the treasure. That was his main goal from the beginning. But as he spends time with Jim, and he starts to feel sorry for him and see that he's really getting pushed around, like, because he's like the smallest human there. He's the only really technically normal looking guy there, but he's weird to them, and they say he's the freak looking one. They all one's made of farts and stuff, so go figure. And he ends up becoming sort of a father figure to him throughout the film, and they have the montage where he's teaching him how to take care of the ship and how everything works, and he's encouraging him and everything. And you see at points it's genuine. And it kept saying, you're getting too soft. Why you being nice to him? Are you not going to get the job done? And he keeps having to switch back to what his main objective was because he feels that he's not getting their respect or not being taken seriously because he's showing some kindness.
2 fun facts. 1, Peter Cullen did an uncredited appearance as Captain Nathaniel Flint.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And the second is, it looks like this may have been inspiration for Jack Sparrow because Roger Bumpus and Jack Angel is the police robots. Well, Jack Angel, Jack Sparrow.
Yes, right? You're right. That's a good thing to point out. They have pirates in it.
Mm-hmm.
And third thing definitely want to point out is they had the little animal side character who wasn't even an animal in here. It was just a blob of floating, a shape-shifting blob who did speak a little bit, was still cute, and was still helpful to the plot. So Disney, there is no reason why you couldn't have made Star Plushie work or Star Boy work. You did this, and Genie, and Maui, and Sisu, and Camelo, and some other ones. But, oh no, we can't do that. That's you need limits. You set a limit here, you found a way to make it work 7 times in a row. No reason they could have done an 8th one.
Absolutely. So it's just something, again, that they clearly didn't want to do. So I'm glad that...
Yes. Yeah, and I just need to point that out because it's like, why didn't you do this?
I'm really glad that this movie is still available and still exists. And I think you can still buy it.
Right now,
and if
yes.
you can't
and
find
rent
it, it is at the library where you can borrow it. So I'm glad it's still in a format that you can see it and not have to go to Disney Plus, and you can enjoy it. It may not even be on Disney Plus, who knows?
It may be.
But it's fun, and I can see why you love it. I really, really like it. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I was even going to like it. Can't believe I'd never seen it, but now I have, and it's definitely a memorable movie. So I will never go to you and go, Treasure Planet? What's that?
Right.
I've never seen Treasure Planet. Are you talking about Atlantis? No, it's a different movie. And
But
now
they love
I
that
know
too.
the difference.
Right?
Now I know the difference between the two, and I've seen both. So yay.
So, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for updates and good videos from your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
And if you've seen Treasure Planet, let us know what you think in the comments. Is it one of your favorites like Rascal? Do you own it? Do you watch it often? Let us know if you haven't seen it. Again, find it, watch it, come back, tell us what you think.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm on Entertainments.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.